Welcome to our first episode in Utah. This is a long overdue episode as we've been moving for the last little bit. And I'm really excited to have this update. Today, I am here with my sweet, sweet husband. Hello, husband.
Hello, wife.
Welcome.
Thank you. We're coming at you pre-recorded from Utah.
Pre-recorded from Utah. Not live.
No.
Definitely not live.
I mean, we're live now, but
We're alive. So, this season, I was going to do Playing Where Should We Begin? But since, we've had a pretty significant life event happen, I figured, let's give them a little update. Let's give them a little update.
Run them through how we got here.
Yeah, I mean, we got a little schlong haul convoy that got us down here.
I don't care what anyone says. Those radios were such a good idea.
Yes, good job, Derry. Yeah, we had four vehicles, four people, all driving down.
Yeah.
Radios, making sure that we can all stick together. That was really fun. That was really fun. It felt very, official.
Yeah. And the weather was really nice.
I
was glad the roads were clear. And
yeah, we were planning for bad weather.
Oh, yeah. We only had snow in Boise, and we dodged their winter storm. We left right before they got hammered again.
Yeah.
And then we only had snow on the Idaho-Utah border.
Yep.
Yeah, and only for 45 minutes.
Yeah, we were even planning on potentially delaying our trip because of that, and it just all worked out in our favor. So
it did.
Shout out to the universe for getting us here safely. Shout out to my husband for the walkie-talkie idea. Yeah. Shout out to the Bones for helping us come down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, so how have you been here, Derry? How's it been for you?
It's been a slow adjustment. It's hard for me not having space of my own, and I went from having a free pool table that I could spend hours on to having to pay $1 a game or $3 an hour and have to look at people and talk to people and
be bothered.
Yeah. So it's been a slow adjustment, but I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the hardest part about adjusting is the fact that this house has a lot of history.
It does.
And seeing all that history culminate into, I don't even know how to describe what happened on moving day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it tension?
Yeah.
Just tension from everyone, I guess.
Everyone's different personalities meshing together, everybody's different style.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad I wasn't the star of the show, It wasn't my tension. It wasn't my story. So
it wasn't your parent.
No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. So, and other than that, I've been pretty relaxed. It's actually a lot better for me here. We've been here for less than 2 weeks, and we've had almost every day include some kind of rain, or there was a little bit of snow when we first got here. Yeah, I'm looking forward to all that.
Yeah, like I said, you can get all 4 seasons in one day here.
Yeah.
It gets intense.
Yeah, and it's even though the cost is almost similar, it's slightly cheaper here, but there's just so many more options.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't regret the move at all.
Yeah, me either.
The highway system is fantastic.
Being able to get somewhere.
I will say, I now understand why people here are like, oh, I don't want to drive 35 minutes to Layton.
Because you can drive 5 minutes and be...
When everything is directly around you within a 10-minute drive, I mean, even right next to Smith's, you got... I don't even know how many restaurants.
All the different places.
Yeah,
so many choices. You don't just have chains or small businesses. It's like big city chains.
Yeah. I mean, I do like the small business factor in Washington because you get a lot of different, just cool characters,
Yes.
And here, there's still some cool characters. There's just a lot more choices for health options, when we were like, oh, I don't want to cook tonight. What are we going to have? The choice isn't McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, or
Taco Bell.
Applebee's, Taco Bell,
Yeah.
whatever. You have actual choices here.
Yeah, you can actually be like, what kind of food
Yeah,
do
and
I
those
want
choices
tonight?
are cheaper.
Yeah.
Way cheaper.
Or the same.
Yeah.
For like the chain stuff, it's the same for like specialty or like
Right.
non-chain here,
Yeah.
which is so nice. It's so nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very glad about. That was part of the reason why I wanted to come back, because I mean,
Since day one, you were always talking about Cafe Zupas and Cafe Rio, and then right when we leave Tri-Cities, they're getting a Cafe Rio.
I know, how rude.
And a Chick-fil-A.
And a Chick-fil-A, yeah.
I'm glad that the Tri-Cities is finally getting choices, and they're getting recognized as an actual big city,
Yep.
even though it's technically three.
Yeah.
You know, the locals know. The
Yeah.
locals know. Yeah. How about you? How's your adjustment been?
You know, I am very thankful for the experiences that I've had away from here, because now I can come back here with perspective and like context, like the drive, right? Before, driving to like Logan or down to like IKEA or something, it was like, oh my goodness, that's like 45 minutes away. That's so far. You know how far that is? Like, I can recall as a kid being like I've driven to places since we've been here that when I was a kid, I was like, ugh, it takes so long to get there. And now with the perspective of like, T's house was like 23 minutes away.
Yeah.
Shaylee's less than that and the same distance, which it's really nice. Like, I feel more willing to explore this area than I was when I was living here before, you know?
Good.
So I like that. The adjustment has been interesting. It's been interesting.
Walk us through it.
Yeah, it's been heavy being back here, because when I left, I was running, right? Like, I felt like all of my options were not there, and I did the one option that I could, and I just left, which it had to happen. I'm glad I did it, you know, but it's different being back here this time because I'm 5 years older. You know, I have better relationships with the people that I was running from.
You're 5 years wiser.
5 years wiser. I'm married.
Yeah.
Which is something I've never been here.
You
know?
left unmarried and you came back married.
I did. Yeah. I get to show you all of the fun things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been different. It's been hard trying to find a routine. I'm a very routine-oriented person, and trying to, like, figure out a routine without us having jobs yet, you know, so that I don't feel like I'm just, like, floating through life. I have to have something to, like, secure me. And so that's been weird, trying to find a routine. I had a pretty big realization being here.
What was your realization?
So, little backstory, which you already know, but so I was having kind of a hard time a couple days ago, just adjusting, feeling okay here, because all of my past is here besides 5 years of it.
Yeah.
And so I went to my grandparents the other day and started watching some old VHS tapes of my childhood. And as I was watching it, I was like noticing the thoughts that I had while I was watching. And a lot of them were sad and heavy and, you know, it's stuff that I've already dealt with in therapy, or I thought that I dealt with in therapy. You know, watching my dad be my dad in those videos, and watching my mom be, you know, a fresh parent. Both of them being like fresh parents to me. And I don't know. It was interesting. It was interesting. It was sad. I noticed that I was really sad watching it all. And then we were talking, and you pointed out to me that acceptance is something that I struggle with, which is not something that I would have accepted.
Case in point.
Case in point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and since you said that, like, first of all, I don't even know what that looks like. You know, like you said, I'm not good at acceptance. And so I don't know what it looks like, but I can think of many different situations in my life that are affected by my lack of acceptance. I would like to say that there is one good thing about having a lack of acceptance, and that is a willingness to continue to strive to change things.
Determination. Right?
Yes, I am very determined as a person because I don't really take no for an answer.
Mm-hmm. It's a good quality to have.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I push forward for everything because I believe that everything can be changed. You know, I continue to adjust relationships that I have that weren't working in the past to see if they can work better now. You know, I think that's something that really has benefited me from a lack of acceptance. I'm not willing to be like, yep, that's just life and it is what it is. You know, like that is not ever, that's not ever where I go with things. It's like, okay, I just haven't tried hard enough then, which I realized is tied to my perfectionism.
Yeah.
You know, is like, I'm not going to accept anything less than what I think I can have or do or be or surround myself with or whatever it is. And then there's the other side of acceptance, or having a hard time with acceptance, which is any time that somebody gets me wrong, I want to prove them wrong. I want to show them exactly who I am. Like with my old manager. Like, he was never going to see me as the person that I am because I just was not meeting the need that he had at the time.
Yeah.
Which that I tried and I tried and I tried and I failed. But I didn't accept.
Yeah.
You know, it was like I tried. I got written up. I kept trying. I got written up again. I kept trying, but was also like very bad off in the mind at work. And then, you know, it was enough and I quit. And it still bugs the shit out of me. Like, it still is like, why couldn't he have seen me as the person that I was? Why did it have to end in that fashion? You know,
because he didn't care.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't going to change his mind. With him, it actually was, it is what it is. And I don't like accepting that at all.
You know who was one of the first people that showed me that level of acceptance on the job? Heath. It was Heath at Value Village. The way that Tanya would just tell him to do stuff. And he was just, okay. And do it to a T and do nothing else. Nothing more, nothing less. Exactly what she requested. Because then, cheeky little bastard, what he was really doing is he was taking away her power. Because she couldn't get mad.
Right.
He did exactly what she said.
I did exactly what you said.
A T. And if she wanted initiative, that's her problem. She wasn't paying him for that.
Right.
Yeah. And so, like, just seeing the dynamic of him and his bosses, I was like, oh, wait, we can just do that.
You could just do the bare minimum.
We don't have to, like, go above and beyond for our employers. Wow.
Right.
It's a revelation to me.
Yeah.
And I still do. But
right.
In your case, you were going above and beyond and you weren't being recognized. If I were in your shoes, I would have done exactly what he told you to a T. Because then if he writes you up, he's writing you up for doing exactly what you were told. And it takes away his power. Because then you can say, dude, I did exactly what you told me to do.
Yeah.
Why are you writing me up? Well, you didn't do this. You didn't tell me to do that.
Yeah. I don't know. I definitely feel like I did exactly what he asked me to do. But
well, yeah,
at the end of the day, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to actually like be okay with the outcome of that situation. I don't know how to accept the outcome of that situation. And it's not just with work. It literally, like, once you said that, I started like scanning, like a panoramic scan of my whole brain and all of the like pain points that I have, you know, open cases, shall we say.
And they're all about acceptance.
And they're all, I've brought every single situation besides Brad. I'm at like very early stages of that.
That's a little different.
But with everything, I've brought it to like just before the point of acceptance, you know, because I've thought that I dealt with everything in therapy, but then I still have these heavy emotions that follow me around in the place that I was, you know, raised and grown. And I didn't, you know, it's not like the cases are not closed because I haven't learned acceptance. So the other day, I was like, okay, so what does acceptance even mean? You know, what does that look like? How do you go there? Because I haven't practiced it in like the only time that no, not even that. I think I actually have acceptance with my mom. I think I've actually gotten there.
Yeah.
But she also has brought something to the table to help me get to that place.
Well, just because you're not good at acceptance doesn't mean you don't do it.
Right. There's definitely places. It's hard to think of examples.
They're few and far between, but they're there.
Yeah. Because I could come up with a lot of more examples of where I don't have like closure, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, I was looking up information about it the other day. So there's this website. How would you say that? Walt Aguilar?
Yeah. Looks like a dude's name. Walt Aguilar.
So I found this website. And there's 2 articles that got my attention. One of them is why acceptance is an important this is how it says it. Why acceptance is an important to moving forward in life.
He forgot a word.
Or put an extra one.
Shame
Take
on you,
the "and"
Walt.
out or add another thing. Anyway, it says, acceptance is such an important aspect of moving forward in life. Life is full of transitions, whether it's changing jobs, moving to a new city.
You did both of those within a month.
Ending a relationship. I also did that. Or experiencing a loss. Well, these transitions can be challenging, and it's natural to feel resistance or even fear when faced with the unknown. However, one of the most important skills we can develop is the ability to accept what is and move forward with grace and resilience. So, one of the things that it says is acceptance allows us to let go of the past. When we resist change or cling to the past, we're essentially living in a state of denial. We're telling ourselves that things should be a certain way, even if they're not. Acceptance helps us acknowledge what is, rather than what we wish was, and frees us from the grip of our past. By accepting what has happened, we can begin to move forward and create a new future.
Okay, what's your take on that?
That I need it.
Takeaway.
That I need acceptance to be able to let go of the past.
You know, it's weird how close that is to what we were talking about in the laundry room. Was it that night? The night we got back from your grandparents? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it was. Do you remember what I said?
I don't. Remind me.
So, I was talking about how you are more inherently emotional. And how did I phrase this exactly? You were separated a little more gently from the family than your brothers were.
Right.
And that gentle separation caused you to think that you can recover some of the old feelings.
Yeah.
And every single person that you were separated from back then is no longer the same.
Right.
It's a reality that will never be a reality again.
Yeah.
And you haven't accepted that yet.
It's hard to.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Yeah. Like we were sitting on the couch and we were talking about your feelings when you were looking at your dad. You're like, oh, I miss him being a dad. And then it changed from that to eventually I'm going to be watching this and like, oh, this is from when my dad was alive.
Yeah.
You know, and that you had a hard time coming to terms with. And I think you have a really hard time grieving the past.
Yes.
And it's because you crave so desperately for those feelings. And
yeah.
there's nothing wrong with it. I just think that you haven't accepted the fact that that was an older version of every single person that you knew, including yourself.
Right. Yeah.
And it's never going to happen again.
And it's never going to happen again.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing for me to accept. Like, a big part of it does come from my dad.
Yeah.
And knowing that love was available to me at one point, and then now knowing that it's not.
Yeah.
You know? And that shift happened when my dad got remarried.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like I was in 7th grade, so I was like 13.
Yeah.
12 or 13.
And then there's even a
that
natural
happened.
progression for when you gain a little more independence from your parents as an adult. So you got all that plus the independent part.
Yeah.
And it's such a big rift.
It is. It is. It's hard to accept that something can't happen again when it's already happened. You know? Yeah.
One of the good things about not being okay with acceptance yet is that you have the willpower to change the status quo. So you can make some of the old feelings. You just have to accept that they're going to be new. They're not going to be what you used to have.
Right. Yeah. And I think I've acknowledged that that's the truth, right? I'm a good acknowledger. I acknowledge the gray area. I acknowledge other people's perspective on things. You know, I can rationalize what happened in that situation, why I ended up with less of a relationship than what I hoped for, right? But I haven't gotten to that point of like, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
And it was what it was.
I was going to say, the only thing missing from that is the acceptance of how it is in the moment.
I thought that acknowledgement was enough. I thought that gaining perspective was enough, but it's not.
You know what I just realized? You're all about being in the moment and stuff like that. I think you're projecting on me.
What do you mean?
Like I'm in the moment, I'm in the moment, I'm in the moment. Are you? Have you accepted that you're in the moment? It is what it is. Because I'm pretty good at accepting in the moment it is what it is.
I don't know.
It's just a thought. I'm not accusing you of projecting. I'm just saying I think you might be a little bit.
Yeah.
If you're reassuring yourself with your own
I very
words.
much want to live in the moment. That's why I say it so much. Because
Okay.
I know that I don't.
Hey, at least you point out your own weak points.
Yeah.
That's how you get stronger.
One of the things that I looked up, it said that acceptance is like practicing an instrument. Like, it's something that you learn and get better at, which kind of pissed me off, to be honest, when I first heard it, because it was like, so I am in control of this. The reason that I still feel as heavy as I do is because I haven't taken that step. I haven't practiced that, because that bugs the shit out of me because of how much work I have done. You know, I'm like, okay, I've gone to therapy. I've done the things. I've apologized. I've reconnected. I've, brought attention to things that hurt me. Like, I've gone out of my way to create conversations that would not have happened otherwise, with my parents, trying to redefine a relationship. Like, it pissed me off. I'm like, oh, so there's more that I have to do on my own. I have to just sit there and be like, okay, it is what it is. I'm like, that goes against everything I believe in.
Yeah.
Like, anytime my circumstances have been quote unquote bad enough, right? I have done something to change it, So to me, nothing ever is, it is what it is. If it's not working, you can converse about it. You can, you can move, you can like try and have some kind of resolution. Like there's many different things that you can do.
Do you now see my 3 strikes you're out policy?
I mean, I see why you have it because you've mastered acceptance since a child.
Mm-hmm.
Like I understand that it comes from a place of acceptance now.
Yeah. Like for those listening, my 3 strikes you're out policy is just kind of I have 2 chances to change the status quo, and if they don't change by the 3rd, then I'm going to reassess whether I even A, want to be in that relationship, B, can I change anything about it, and C, am I okay not changing anything about it? Like the 3rd strike isn't okay, I'm completely done. It's the 3rd strike is let me reevaluate my game plan. I give it 2 chances first. The soft approach, the more aggressive approach, and then on the 3rd time, I'm like, do I really want to try and change the status quo?
Right.
Is it worth my energy?
Yeah. I feel like I have one of those. Because I do, like, I follow all of the steps, you know? Like, I cut people out that aren't good for me. I give them chances, and then once it's done, it's done.
Yeah, but sometimes you don't want them to be done.
Right.
They can serve a purpose without having a closer, like, was it you who did the circle diagram with me a long time ago? Yeah, that thing. Like, you got your inner circle. They pretty much have an unlimited amount of chances. Yeah. But also, I'm going to constantly try and challenge them as well as challenge myself in that relationship.
You want them to grow with you.
Yeah. The second circle is they get a few more than the average bear, but it's a bit more distant. And then the outer circle of, it's just
people I know that I'm not going to get very deep with. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the harshest reality, and something that you haven't accepted yet, is that sometimes people move circles and it hurts. Yeah. Especially if they go from the inner to the outermost. Yeah. It hurts.
Yeah, it does. It does. And I'm hoping that acceptance is what helps with the hurt, you know? Yeah. Like, I don't like feeling like a child. I feel like a teenager a lot of the times here. Like, I feel like I'm, like, between the ages of 10 and 18 here.
Why?
Because I'm stuck. Because I haven't gone to the acceptance. I haven't gotten to that.
It's a good realization. Yeah. You should write that down.
Yeah. I mean, it's...
Oh, yeah, I guess it is.
It's recorded.
It is recorded in some way, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm hoping that I can learn how to accept things.
I'll help you.
Because it feels pretty impossible at this moment in time to actually get to a point where I can think about my childhood with my dad and not have this happen.
Yeah.
You know?
It's one of those relationships that went from your innermost to your outermost circle.
Yeah.
Sucks.
It does. Especially because, like, that's happened a lot with blood.
Yeah.
And I don't like to accept that. You know, I will always strive to have a connection with my family.
You know, I think it goes to the family unit. When you're a family unit, you haven't experienced a whole lot of life as a kid, and you just see your family. And then when you grow up, and you have one of the scariest realizations that there is no such thing as a grown up. Nobody knows what's going on.
Literally.
We all have our own stuff to deal with. And when you start to realize all the faults that you never saw before, and then you start to realize that sometimes you've been wronged. Yeah. That you've been seriously wronged, but they don't know what's going on. Yeah. It's just they moved from the inner circle to a slightly, or just progressively got further and further out. Right. And it hurts because, like, your inner child knows, hey, this was a family we were once tight with. Why are we not tight anymore? And it hurts to think about. But yeah.
Like they say in Lilo and Stitch, Ohana means family. And family means that nobody gets left behind or forgotten.
Nobody gets left behind. Or forgotten. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I live by that, you know? Yeah. I want my family to be my family, and I don't want to accept that that's not, you know.
Yeah. But you're not leaving them behind. Moving on doesn't mean leaving someone behind.
Yeah.
And you certainly aren't forgetting.
Definitely not forgetting.
Yeah. I will say one of the things that I realized when I first got here, because I'm a little bit better at acceptance, I was I was kind of thinking you were overreacting. Not kind of. I was thinking you were overreacting.
To what?
How bad can it really be? To everything. The energy that this house would bring you.
Like when we got here or when I was talking about it before we left?
Yeah, like when you were talking about it. And because I'd been here before. We stayed here, and there were a bunch of storage bins in that room before Craig ended up moving in. And I was just like, I mean, this isn't that bad. It's still a functioning household, but we were vacationing.
Right.
And
it's different.
Yeah, and so I was still thinking that you were overreacting a bit. But then living here and like being in the house for a bit and seeing you and T and your mom just coexist like that, I was like, oh, this is a lot worse than I was thinking.
You're like, I actually get it now.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, it was helpful for me because then I was like, oh, I can kind of take a back seat and just see what you were talking about and observe for a minute and then figure out how to, well, for lack of a better word, coach you through the feelings. I mean, I'm no expert, but being detached.
You're detached.
Yeah, being detached, I can have a viewpoint that's a lot different than you have.
Yes.
And also when you're wrapped up in the feelings and the emotions of this place, and I'm not,
right.
I can help bring you back down to a rational level again.
Yeah.
So, and it's fun actually rewriting some of the stories here.
Yeah.
Not just in the house, but in Utah in general. You know, I even said that before we came here. I was like, I think we can rewrite a lot of your ghosts.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that
and
it's
I'm
not
hoping
as
this
heavy.
is like the first step to it.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, and something you didn't mention when you were talking about leaving your job and stuff, that was the catalyst for us getting over here sooner.
Yeah.
We were talking about moving in May when our lease was up. Turns out our lease was up at the end of April, but we were discussing moving then, and we were starting to, I mean, that was our set point. It wasn't a matter of if we were moving to Utah. After we talked about it for about a week, we're like, yeah, we're going to move to Utah in 6 months.
Yeah.
And then 6 months turned to 2.
Yep. Real quick.
We're like, I might
we gotta
quit.
go.
I might quit. And then I was like, well, let's start packing up the house then.
Yep.
And then pretty soon, you know, I think actually you got better at acceptance in that moment after we had a conversation of, yeah, you can go ahead and quit your job. It has to do with us doing money. We converted to the envelope method a few months ago, and we saved up a lot more than I thought we did.
Right.
And that led to you being able to have the power back. You didn't have to go into Starbucks and suck shit every day.
Yes.
You could actually have some power of like, hey, I don't have to deal with this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, not only do we have the money to deal with it, and that was another thing too, is we didn't have the money when you quit to last until May.
Right.
We would have been out of savings and we would have not been able to move over here.
Yeah.
And we knew that we wanted to be here.
And it was going to take like 2 months to get a different job.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that. The job market in the Tri-Cities is not great. You're competing with a couple hundred other folks applying. It's just hard to get noticed.
Yeah, for like 1 month.
That was one of our discussions that we had is, do I try and get another job that'll take almost 2 months to get? And then, oh, hey, by the way, I'm leaving in 2 weeks.
Right.
Or do we just send it and go?
Yep.
And then that conversation sparked another one of, what kind of money do I need to make so that you can stay home and do the things that we both want to happen, like making our own bread and making our own cheese powder.
Right.
Making our own cheese powder. Oh, that's gonna be wonderful. Yeah, like I want that sort of stuff because I'm interested in not buying all my stuff from a grocery store. I'd rather learn how to make it.
More self-sufficient.
Yeah, it's a little simpler. I've always said I'm a simple man with simple pleasures.
And we wouldn't have to afford as much.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, you would know how to make all of these things, and I would provide the income that allows you to stay home. And right now I'm getting a little discouraged, but that has nothing to do with you. I mean, I'm shooting for the moon and I'm missing, so I'm...
Yeah. It just takes some time.
Yeah, I'm accepting that.
The fact that you've at least heard back from the jobs that you weren't chosen,
like
that is relieving.
20 people told me to pound sand.
At least
like, keep walking, bud.
Not to
You're
follow
not
up with those, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas in the Tri, you're not going to hear shit at all. Yeah. On like 99%
I
of
called places and they would say, don't call back.
Literally,
we will call you.
Literally.
That was strange.
It was. I'm glad to be in a place that's at least responsive.
Yeah, even if Indeed was sending me the emails.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I mean, that means that was an option and they still weren't doing it.
Right.
In the Tri.
Yeah. When we were talking the other day, about acceptance and whatnot, I was like, you need to take a page out of Chucky's book from SOA.
I accept that.
Yeah, like it was so funny because that's like a dramatized version of acceptance.
Yeah, it is. He didn't not accept anything.
Right.
He accepted it all.
People straight up called him out, called him mean names, and he just,
said,
I accept
that. Yeah.
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 I think and then you read that article, it's like, oh, it's like playing an instrument. Well, he's pretty good at it.
Right.
Every
just
time.
practicing.
I accept that.
Yeah. The way that I imagine it is that I'd be lying to myself by accepting it.
How?
Like by
how
saying,
would it be a lie?
by saying I accept that would be a lie. Because I don't. Like, the words are only half the battle, you know?
Yeah. The other half is extreme violence.
The other half is the actual acceptance part.
Yeah, the other half is actually
Actions
acceptance.
speak louder than words. And, yeah. I just, I need to learn.
So what would it take to get you onto a page for you to accept things?
I don't even know what that means.
Accept things?
Yeah, like I don't even know how to do that.
So defining it would be a good starting point. What does acceptance look like for you?
It doesn't.
Okay, so we got our work cut out
like
for us.
I straight up don't even know how to start that because I don't. Like I can think back, even when I was cheated on in high school, I still have feelings about that.
Jesus, really?
Yes. Why is that surprising? I have feelings from when I was fucking 6 that are still undealt with.
Okay, well, let me rephrase. Having feelings from that time period is totally fine. Like, I still have feelings as well from that period of my life.
Right, but it doesn't make you cry.
No, because I've accepted that.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Like, people are just going to do you dirty. It happens.
Yeah.
You don't have to linger on it.
Yeah, I don't know how to not do that. I do have to.
Like, the moment that I can and get away with it, I'm going to smack them. But other than that, I've pretty much accepted the status quo.
Yeah, I really don't know how to do that or what that looks like. But back to this website, the Walt Aguilar. It's
Aguilar.
Aguilar.
Maybe I'm just...
I don't know how to say it.
What does Walt have to say about it?
He has there's a second article that's like recommended under the first one that I was talking about. And it says, break free from the chains of your past. And I was like, oh, alrighty, let's click on that one and see what that has to say for us. And it says, redefining success and overcoming fear. The influence of our past, the physical and emotional environment in which we grew up, mostly created by our parents' principles, often revolves around values of survival and security. This is a logical result of our grandparents' necessities, in which success meant staying alive and guaranteeing a secure future. As a result, our parents may have passed down values that equate success with measurable accomplishments and the amassing of riches or status. While these principles might be motivating, they can also lead to a never-ending cycle of striving and unhappiness, generating a fear of failure and a continuous sense of not being good enough. When I read that, I was like, that's my unconscious self-belief, is that I'm not good enough. So we're probably on the right path by reading this article. So it goes on to say, these ingrained beliefs might make us feel as if we are constantly falling short since we continuously evaluate ourselves to external validation rather than internal fulfillment, which I realize that is also something that I do a lot of.
What?
Continually evaluate ourselves to external validation rather than internal fulfillment. I do things to get praise outside of myself rather than doing things that'll actually make me happy.
We were just arguing about this. That's crazy.
What do you mean?
The other day when I went and played pool and you were upset, you felt like we weren't spending time together, and because my decompression comes from self-fulfillment. Yours comes from external validation.
Yeah.
You even said that, like, hey, spending time with you with me is your decompression.
Yeah.
And whereas my decompression is spending time alone.
Right.
And that's not saying that I can't decompress with you. That's just my preferred method.
Yeah, you're going for internal fulfillment. You
Right.
want to go get better at something.
Because that's what I've
to
done
relax.
since I was a kid. I had no other choice but because nobody else is going to fulfill me. I
Right.
might as well just fulfill myself. And then I learned to do that.
I don't know if I've ever felt fulfilled by myself.
I can tell.
Yeah. I don't think that that's ever been a thing.
So,
Because even when, like, all of the things that I've accomplished, it's weird because you'd think that external validation would be enough, right? If I'm going after external validation instead of internal validation, you would think that external validation would be enough. But like
it never
when my
is.
mom says that she's proud of me, right?
Yeah.
Or when everybody was like, "You bought an RV and like traveled, that's so cool." You know?
And you're
And I'm
you
like,
have no
what are you
idea.
fucking talking about? Like,
Right.
I was just depressed in my RV.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm quick to belittle any of the accomplishments that I have, even when I'm getting the external validation, which is weird.
It's not weird. It's not weird. You just haven't learned yet that internal validation is more important.
Yeah.
No amount of external validation will help.
Yeah.
Because think about this, right? Someone you knew years ago, they see what you did. They see that you bought an RV, you moved states, you got married, and then you came back a way better person, right?
Right.
They're going to be like, oh, congratulations, you seem so happy. And my first thought is, how the hell would you know?
Right.
You don't know anything about me anymore. I've
Literally.
changed so much. And you're getting the external validation, but then you're downplaying it.
But they don't know how deep it is.
And they don't know how deep it is.
Yeah.
And that's why no amount of external validation will ever be enough.
Right.
And like a curse of perfectionism is there is no internal validation. It's you're
Right.
never good enough.
Yeah.
So essentially you get stuck in the I ain't shit phase.
Right.
And
And there's
you never
nothing that
leave.
can actually make me
Which-
feel better about it.
You want to take a guess as to what the fourth stage of grief is?
I don't know.
Depression.
Oh, yeah.
You're stuck there. So it's
Yeah.
denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and then acceptance.
Mhm.
And you're stuck at depression.
Yeah.
And
It
like,
feels like it.
yeah, I can tell, especially after we left your grandparents' house when you were still grieving what you used to have, you have not accepted it yet. You're stuck in the depression phase.
Yes.
Because
Very
you've
much.
already denied it, and that was a long time ago. And then you started to get angry about it, and that's why you bought an RV and left. You started bargaining of maybe there's a way to work through it. You went to therapy. Maybe I can talk to my parents about these different things. You offered solutions. And then you realize that it doesn't matter. And now you're stuck in depression.
Yeah, I can't change anybody.
And I even said when we were on the drive back, when you called me, you were like, I don't know what to do. And I was like, you have to grieve it.
Yeah.
You need to finish the grieving.
Yeah.
And to finish the grieving, you need to accept it.
Which feels wrong because I feel like I've already done that.
Okay.
Like logically, I think that I've already like done all of the things because I don't like with the acceptance piece. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what that feels like. I don't know how to go about doing it. So to me, I was like, how have I finished all of the steps and I'm still feeling like this? Like, is this just something that I have to accept that I'm just going to feel like this? Is that what acceptance is?
In a way, like acceptance doesn't mean it will never change. You just have to accept how it is. Like, after you accept how something is, you don't have to stop trying to change it. You just start to realize no matter what I do, it's going to stay the same because it has nothing to do with you. You can do all the things in the world, like, for example, trying to build a relationship back with your parents. You can do all the things in the world, but at the end of the day, you can only do so much.
I can
And
only
that's
do
the
what I
part you
can
need
do.
to accept. Right.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean you have to stop trying. You
Right.
just have to accept that it doesn't always revolve around you.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's another person at play that has their own feelings and their own history and their own past.
Yeah.
It's
Well-
not always up to you how things progress.
The weird thing is that I have accepted that part. Like, I've accepted that other people have a different experience. I've accepted that the reason that the love that I had from, sorry.
He doesn't even have his glasses on. You think he's going to catch that?
God damn it. At least it wasn't soda this time.
Yeah, I got on my leg again. I think we should leave this part in.
Oh my goodness.
Anyways.
The thing is, I've accepted that, like, the reason the love with my dad changed is because he was codependent.
Mm-hmm.
And a codependent most of the time has enough love for one person, right? And it wasn't being soaked up by my mom. And then my dad got married again, and he found somebody. Like, his love actually had a home outside of us. You know, like, I accept that other things happened. I accept that my dad had another, you know, a different experience than I did. So it feels like I've done it all. You know, I've looked at different people's perspectives. Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, there's, like, open wounds and shit. But, like, logically, I think that I've done it all.
Okay.
It doesn't feel like I've done it all. Because, obviously, I get torn up by driving down a street or hearing a song or, you know, thinking or seeing my dad. Or
I mean, that has nothing to do with acceptance. That's a ghost. You just have to accept the ghosts are there.
So is acceptance not the fucking point?
Acceptance, like, let me think of a real world example, right? I'll use me because I can't speak for you. I accept that I didn't have the greatest childhood.
Right.
I didn't have the worst.
Yeah.
You know, and there's plenty of good that came along with that.
Yeah.
And some of it I made myself. I made my own good out of my own circumstances. And what I've accepted is the part that I played in that. I accepted the fact that that happened to me. It was caused on me. But I don't linger there. Because for two reasons. First, I've come to the realization that grown-ups don't exist. Yeah. There is no such thing as a grown-up. It's also wild to me that I'm the age that my parents were when I was 7 years old and going through a majority of, like, the prescriptions I was given.
That's crazy. Can you imagine having a 7-year-old right now? That's where Shaylee and Adam are at.
I have my head so far up my own ass, I can't even imagine having a kid right now.
Let alone a 7-year-old.
A 7-year-old with disciplinary issues, medicated out of his mind because doctors said that's the good way to go. Like, I've come to the realization that some of it wasn't my parents' fault at all. Like, they didn't know what was going down. They were trying to figure out their own lives. And then also, I think we're right around the time that the twins would have been born too. So that's their third and fourth kid at my age. That's wild to me.
Fuck that.
Yeah, dude.
4 kids at our age.
If my parents are listening, I'm sorry. I didn't know.
My mom only had one.
Yeah.
Like a baby at this age. She was giving birth at 26 to her first kid.
You know what I used to do to my brothers? This is a little side note. I used to try and make them think that one of them wasn't wanted because they were twins.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, it's horrible.
That's so fucked up.
It's so horrible. And they were like 5 and 6. They were at the most gullible ages either. And I was like, well, one of you guys wasn't wanted. And then they'd have to bicker over which one wasn't.
That's really sad.
It is. But no, those two were tight. You know, I think it was their 3rd or 4th birthday party. Some kid, like Joey was playing on the Pop-A-Shot, and some kid like pushed him out of the way. And Sam like threw the ball at him and was like, don't mess with my brother. It was so funny.
That's cute.
Yeah, so there's a fraternity that comes with being brothers.
Yeah.
And sometimes that includes making one of them feel like shit. So anyways, back to the point. I, now being a little older and wiser and realizing that my parents didn't have anything figured out and they were trying to struggle with 4 kids like that. Ooh, boy, that is a lot to handle at 27 years old. And sure, this was back in 2008, so it was slightly cheaper, but one of the things that both of my parents had said is they were living paycheck to paycheck. And we did that until we moved to the envelope method, and we didn't even have a kid.
Yeah.
So imagine having another body on the line.
Let alone 4. Ew.
4, yeah.
One with severe medical issues.
Sure, and I'm not excusing the things that they did.
Right.
There were some things that I feel they could have done a little bit better. But at the same time, I don't hold on to that resentment. It is what it is. I've accepted the fact that they didn't know what was going on. My mom listened to the doctors, and she shouldn't have, but how is she going to know? How is she going to know? They were all saying, oh, your kid's got ADHD and possibly bipolar, and he might even be a little psychotic, so we're going to put him on an antipsychotic, an anti-bipolar, an ADHD medication, a tranquilizer so the bastard can sleep. It was a lot, and I was only 7 or 8. Like, sure, I think logic should have taken over at some point, that we're just combating side effects at this point, but I don't fault her. She didn't know. Hell, doctors barely knew.
Right.
They were just throwing whatever was coming out at them. So it is what it is. I don't harbor resentment towards what happened. That doesn't mean that I don't have feelings about it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still a little hurt from time to time, and I had a conversation with Joey where I was like, yeah, there's some things that I will never let go of, but I've accepted that they are the way they are.
Right.
And there's no sense in lingering on those feelings. When they show back up, just feel them. Just feel them. They're not going anywhere. But also, I'm not going to stay there. Because I don't want to. Those are bad feelings, and I don't want to feel badly towards anyone. It's a lot easier to be kind to people.
Right. You know, that actually kind of goes directly to the next part of this article. It says, the impact of fear and inadequacy. Fear of failure and feelings of inadequacy can immobilize us, preventing us from taking risks or exploring new experiences. They can keep us stuck in a cycle of negative self-talk and limited beliefs, hindering our growth and potential. The constant comparison with others, as well as the pursuit of society's success criteria, may exhaust our mental and emotional energies, leaving very little room for contentment or development in our own lives. I think the contentment, I develop my own life, like, nevertheless, you know, like, to me, I'm not getting, like, stuck in life, but emotionally, I feel like I'm stuck. Like, emotionally, like, exhausting our mental and emotional energies, very much feel that. And the pursuit of society's success criteria, that as well that's hard for me.
I think you touched on that yesterday when you were telling me a conversation you had with your mom last week, where she said that she wanted better for you guys than she ever had, and she was realizing that you're already there.
Right.
Like, you've already done so much more than she did at your age.
Mm-hmm.
And ideally, to me, that signifies a successful parent.
Right.
Like, as a parent,
all you
I
can
guess
hope
I can't
for
speak
is
from
better
a
for
parent
your
standpoint because I'm
kid.
not a parent. But what I've seen from parents and what I've experienced is that parents want better for their kids than they had.
Mm-hmm.
And even my parents, I don't think they've realized that I'm already there, because I don't have 4 kids at 27 years old. They raised me, I wouldn't say smart enough to not do that, because part of that's the economy. And, like, there's no gauge on family. When's a good time to start a family?
Right.
Whenever you want.
Yeah.
But, like, my mom did not plan on having me, and she raised me to be smart about starting a family.
Yeah.
And you know what? I should probably talk to him about, like, what happened with Eli and the twins. I think they were planning on having them. I think both Eli and the twins were planned. Well, sorry, but one of the twins was planned.
Yeah.
And then they learned they were having twins, and obviously they're planning on twins.
I think your mom said it was not planned, because she would have been taking folic acid.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. She accidentally had twins.
Either way, like, my parents have, in a little harsher than I would say the average bear would do, but they showed me common sense. They showed me how to go through life in a smart way. And obviously, we all make our own mistakes. But I would say, as a whole, both of our parents, or both sets of our parents, have set us up. Like, I would, at least from my perspective, I would say I'm better off than either one of my parents.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, same.
at my
Same.
current age.
Yeah.
And even that's
We don't
in the
have
eye
a
of the
kid on the
beholder.
way.
Yeah, we
That
don't
helps.
have a kid on the way. We're trying to get ahead. That's part of the reason we moved to Utah.
Yep.
You know, I'm just thankful that my parents taught me common sense.
Yeah.
I meet a lot of folks who don't necessarily have it, and they were a little more sheltered throughout their lives. And, you know, one thing that I'm seriously, seriously grateful to my parents for is teaching me thinking and logic
Right.
and common sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be a lot worse off if I didn't have it.
Was that the...
Yeah, that's the end of it.
I thought it was circling back to something else because
It
we
could
started
have been.
talking about...
Yeah, your mom. Your mom saying that she wanted better for you. And to me, it was strange because I was like, does she realize that you already have that? Like, you chose into some of it when you bought an RV and you left, but like, you had the smarts to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You had the financial know-how to go out there and do it. Your parents actually did set you up by getting you on their credit cards at 14 or something like that, and helped your credit score. Like, she did set you up.
Yeah.
And, you know, it signified to me when you were talking about it that she hadn't realized that yet.
Yeah. Yeah. The weird thing is that she said that she takes no credit for it.
That's doing herself a disservice.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. I mean, it's an achievement that we're just alive. That's a successful parent in my book.
Well,
We're alive.
and beyond that, like, I think both me and my mom acknowledge the fact that she has given me more examples of what not to do than what to do, right? But that doesn't mean that she hasn't shown me what to do, you know? A lot of the, like, clerical and helpful knowledge that I have come directly because of her, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of the money know-how that I have comes directly from her. My credit score, between her and my dad, that was, you know.
Did you see that growing up?
What?
All those skills in your parents?
Yeah. Yeah.
See? Yeah.
Yeah, like they definitely passed on a lot of positive things to help them achieve their goal of giving their kids a better start, and to help me obviously get a better start to life. There was something that you said before where I was like, I thought to myself, maybe it's not acceptance that I need, but that. And I can't remember what it was.
Oh, boy.
I almost want to, like, stop the recording, go back, listen to it, and come back.
All right, pause the recording. Let's go find it.
So when you were talking about forgiveness, it almost feels like that's more true than the acceptance part. Like, I don't know if I know what forgiveness is either. Like, what it actually feels like. Because, like,
Okay.
I understand why my parents did what they did. I understand the headspace that they were in. I understand that they probably couldn't have done better, you know, with the circumstances that they had. None of that makes the emotion any lighter. Right? Like, none of that makes it so that I don't, like, tear up thinking about it.
It's interesting that you say that because you helped me understand forgiveness. Like, remember when I had gone on that first trip and I figured out what I needed to move on? You helped guide me to a place where I healed by forgiving. And it's interesting to hear you say that you're not good at forgiveness.
Yeah.
But now that you say it, it does make sense.
Yeah.
It does make a little bit of sense. I guess forgiveness has to be a part of acceptance.
Yeah, they probably do go hand in hand in a way. But, like, it's hard to forgive my parents for not doing more. Because as much as I can understand their position, I also see the other side of what was possible. You know?
Yeah.
I dealt with my codependency when I was 16, 17, maybe 18. One of those ages, like in that age range. And, like, the direct result of my dad's codependency is all of the reverberating effect that I house inside of my body, right?
Okay.
Like it is hard to forgive that my parents got so lost in their own experience that mine was like pushed to the wayside. You know.
Okay.
And I think the other part, this is where the forgiveness is really big, is that usually forgiveness happens after an apology. Right? Like a very specific direct apology.
Yeah.
And I think that that's like the forgiveness or the apology hasn't happened, so the forgiveness and acceptance doesn't happen. You know, with the cheating that happened when I was younger, I don't actually think that I've been apologized to for that. But I did meet up with her to be like, hey, I forgive you. Because I wanted to. I said the words, but again, actions are louder than words, and I don't actually feel like I have forgiven that.
Okay.
Because it's still so heavy. Like I don't think I've gotten to that point, and I don't quite know how to get to a point of forgiveness because it's just so heavy for me. And there's no apology from any of these people.
And there never will be.
And there never will be. And that's the acceptance part, accepting that there's never going to be an apology and then forgiving either, like, anyway.
Yeah. I mean, what I did say earlier is like the first chance I can and get away with it, I'm going to smack them for it. But aside from that, you just got to move on.
Yeah. I don't know how to do that.
Just put it down.
How? Like you've mastered it, so you're talking from a perspective of somebody who has mastered this.
Because I've been doing it for too long.
Right.
Like
from a very young age, you learned to just accept things, and you probably didn't even need forgiveness.
No. Well, because
you just accepted it and moved on.
I guess part of it is being humble. You have to be a little humble.
Oh, I'm not good at that.
No. No, you are not. But the humbleness comes from realizing that you ain't shit. Like, at the grand scheme of things, no one's going to apologize to you because you don't mean a goddamn thing to anybody. Like, why would they apologize to you?
Fuck you for saying that.
Sorry.
Ew.
Like, I had to realize that early, that I ain't shit. I don't deserve anything just for being alive. Yeah. Nobody does.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not an entitled
I actually
individual.
have felt that way.
Okay. So you wait, hold on.
No, I've felt like I deserve more than what I have just for being alive.
Okay. And there isn't anything inherently wrong with that either. Yeah. It's making it someone else's problem that's the wrong part. But like for me, I went the other way where I was taught very early on that I ain't shit. And no one owes me a thing. No one's gonna give me anything. And if I want it, I gotta go out and get it myself. And otherwise, internal validation. And like just realizing that nobody owes me anything. Even if they did me dirty, it's not their problem. It's now mine because I have feelings about it. So I just take those. Agree with that. I take those feelings. I compact them as much as I can and say when the time is right and I can get them back, I will. But until then, this goes on a shelf.
That makes it sound like you're waiting for revenge, and that doesn't seem like you've actually processed all of it then.
Well, I am. I'm a vengeful person, but again,
so you haven't put your shit down either.
In a way, no. In a way, no, I have not, but I've accepted the fact that I will never get my revenge. Or I just got done dirty. I'm never going to get an apology. I'm never going to get my lick back. None of it. Like it's just the way it is. At the first opportunity that I can and get away with it, I will get my lick back. But until that day, who cares? I'm not getting an apology. So why would I linger on if I'm just not going to get my closure? I might as well give myself the closure. And the closure for me is one day I might be able to get my revenge. That's my closure.
I feel like none of that helps me at all.
No, because you're not an angry person. We've gone through this. The personality types that we have, my core emotion is anger, and that's how I put myself. Like I detach myself by getting angry about it, and then being like, you know what? It's just never going to change. So ball up that, put it on the shelf, and if the time comes or I get to dust it off and use it, then I will. But if it doesn't, stays over there. It's trophy room at this point. But like, it starts with the understanding that no one owes me anything. Even like, should you get an apology for some stuff? Yeah. Yeah. You ask any person out there, they're like, damn, that is messed up. They should have definitely apologized. But you aren't owed anything by anybody. The only thing that I'm owed is to treat myself better. And that's a me problem. That's not someone else's problem. But again, it goes back to the internal validation versus external validation. I don't need external validation. There are some areas I do, like when I worked for CMS. Like I needed the external validation of, hey, don't just call me when you have problems that need to be solved and then ignore me when I ask to be paid for it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still salty about that, even now. But it doesn't affect, like, it affects me going forward in another job. That's how I manifest the revenge, is like, going forward, I'm not going to let someone put me in that position after 3.5 years. Because granted, when I started that job, I was 19. They signed me at 19 to be a co-manager of the entire program.
Yeah.
Like, that was caused on me. You guys put that on me. I didn't do anything. And granted, at the time, I could not handle that responsibility. I was a child. I did not know what was going down. I didn't know how to manage at that point. And I learned. I had to learn. But it wasn't until 3.5 to 4 years later into that job where I was like, hey, it's time to start pulling my head out of my ass and actually act like a manager. And then I did for well over a year. And I was like, hey, now that I'm actually filling my role, and by then a lot of stuff had changed to where I had more responsibility, and I just asked to be recognized for it, and I wasn't. I wasn't prioritized. And so I vowed, like, okay, in the future, when I work a job, I'm going to present myself the way I know how. I'm going to continue to learn. I'm going to ask questions. Like, when I was 19, I was afraid to go outside of the box and just do what I was told and just exist in that role, right? I've since learned that asking questions is a good way to grow. And if someone's not going to answer those questions, I shouldn't be there because they're not willing to help me grow.
Yeah.
And so I just said, hey, I'm no longer going to put myself in a position in my career or whatever job I do, even if it's not a career, to where that's going to happen again. I'm going to let them know right off the bat what I'm worth and that I'm going to continue to grow and continue to change the company that I work for the better. But again, I'm not getting an apology from those folks. Arguably, I tried to ask for one and I was shut down miserably.
Yeah.
Like, you were there for all of that stuff. And yeah, like, I still have some feelings about it, but I've accepted that that's never going to change. It's just who they are. And even after the fact, like, talking to some of the folks that I worked with and some of the folks that worked underneath me, they're like, oh yeah, we saw it the whole time. Like, I've accepted it because people like that weed themselves out quickly. Even if people tolerate them, silence doesn't mean they don't see what's going on. And so why would I linger on what someone else is doing when I can just better myself and people see it? Like, whether they actually validate me for it or not is neither here nor there. It's nice when someone says, like, a few of them after the program had ended were like, oh yeah, we definitely prefer dealing with you. And I was like, oh, that is really nice to hear, because I tried to build that. I was like, I tried to build reliability for me, not for anyone else, for me. And even though it was for the sake of the company, it was still for me. I'm like, why would I continue to be unreliable? Then that affects my own self-esteem. So I had to validate myself first before I got the external validation.
Yeah.
And it just built a core value in me that I should continue to grow and ask for those opportunities and ask questions so that I can grow. Even if I look like a fool. If it's a question that rookies ask, well, guess what? I guess I'm still a rookie. Even if I've been working for 5 years, I'm like, oh, I've never learned how to do this. Like, that's where the humbleness comes in, of realizing I don't know what I'm doing. Ask someone who does. Even people who don't know what they're doing might know something that you don't, and it can help you. Just ask. And like, turning that back into what we were talking about with like feelings towards your parents and stuff, like you can feel like you deserved more all day long, and some of it might be true, but you need to accept the fact that people in their bullshit. I've said it for a long time. People have their own stuff going on. Like, yeah, you were cast aside.
I was their own stuff. That's the fucked
Well,
up part.
Not really, because
I should have fucking been.
yeah, for sure. You were their child. Yeah, you should have, but you weren't. Like, people are the movie star or the star of their own movie. Like, regardless of anywhere you go, that will always be the same. People are the star of their own movie. And sometimes that means you get cast aside. It happens. People are just so wrapped up in their own movie, it's hard to realize that there are supporting characters all around you and side characters. And unfortunately, you were one of those side characters. And you're even later in life, you're going to be a side character. In some ways, you're a side character in my life because I'm the star of my own movie. You're the star of your movie. I'm the side character. But there's a reason that even in movies, they give awards for best supporting actors.
Yeah.
Because you have support.
Yeah.
You just need to accept the fact that you are not the star of everyone's show.
Yeah.
Be a little humble. Going back to acceptance. Like, accept the fact that you are not the star of someone else's movie. Like, they might do you dirty and not even know. Like, you have all these feelings and all these ghosts everywhere.
I mean, that's not even true, though. The thing is, the only, like, unresolved shit that I have is with people that already know.
And why do you deserve resolution?
So that I can stop feeling so fucking heavy.
Why would they care?
They don't care.
Right. Because you're not the star of their movie.
Right.
That's the application.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck you're saying right now. I'm actually getting kind of pissed. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know how to say this any differently. You were talking about how you deserved better, right? And I would say, accept the fact that you didn't. Even if it's not true. That's where you start. You start from accepting that you ain't shit. To someone else, you are not the star of their movie. You ain't shit to them. Accept that. Then, from there, you can start getting your own internal validation and start to detach from the hurt, and you can go to that person and say, hey man, you did me dirty. I'd like an apology. But you need to understand that you will not get one. You have to ask for it. If you ask for it and you still don't get one, then you get to take it personally. But until you've done a lot of that, and you still haven't gotten it.
Yeah.
So just accept the fact that you never will.
Yeah.
Like there are some things where you can, with very real proof that yes, you deserve an apology or you deserved better. But as an intrinsic thought, you should think, I don't deserve it from someone else, but I deserve it from me.
Yeah.
And then it will lead you into internal validation.
So I looked up what forgiveness and acceptance is, right?
Okay.
It says forgiveness and acceptance have different meanings. Forgiveness means accepting the wrongdoing and making a conscious decision to forgive the person who wronged you, but it does not mean that you approve of being wronged.
Okay.
Acceptance means accepting what has happened as an unchangeable event and moving forward in a positive direction towards a better life together. Acceptance is accepting everything that happens to you as given to you by God, the good stuff and the bad stuff. Forgiveness is to offer goodness to those who have created the past unpleasant or decidedly unjust event. Forgiveness is to offer goodness to those who have created the past unpleasant or decidedly unjust event. True forgiveness is not something you do to let someone off the hook, but a decision you make to free up your mind in order to experience peace of mind. Acceptance in recovery often goes hand in hand with forgiveness, as you are no longer fighting through reality, but choosing the path forward, choosing to heal and to accept compassion.
Okay. What does that mean to you?
I don't know. It's all just really hard.
Well, we've just now
I
unpacked
think the
this,
thing
so.
is that I prioritize my own headspace a lot these days. Right? I've made a lot of adjustments in my life from the time that I started going to therapy until now to like watch out for my own peace. Right?
So you're working on internal validation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you know that little sticky note that I found from Cameron from our last session
Oh,
that
yeah.
said, "Why did her words matter?" Different from Emma's. I think I remember the context of that thing, and it was talking about a younger version of me and asking why her words mattered, right? And I don't know if I actually feel that way. That like the younger versions of me, that like their stuff matters.
What do you mean by that? Like what led you down that path?
Like I've been shown, like I externally I have believed that like that doesn't matter, like because of external factors. Like,
okay, real quick. That's kind of what I was saying. So about your younger self, her words not mattering, they don't to other people.
right.
If you feel like they don't
And
matter
if they
to
don't
you, that's
to other
thing.
people, then it doesn't matter to me.
Right, because
that's kind of how it is.
Okay.
Because I'm looking for the external validation.
You're looking for the external validation. So your words of your younger self do matter to you, but they don't to someone else. And they never will.
Yeah.
Because in their mind, their younger self's words, if they're focused on external validation, they're in the exact same headspace as you are, where their words didn't matter to someone else, so they don't matter to me.
Yeah.
And that eventually will lead to a cycle of disregarding other people's words. The younger selves, like everyone is a culmination of all their life experiences. And your younger self's words should matter to you, but they will never matter to somebody else who's not you. And if you don't, you said yourself, you're working on prioritizing your own headspace, and that includes the younger version of yourself. So I think it's actually a good question.
I think
of
it's
why
weird
do her words matter?
because the thing is, like, as a kid, right? Obviously, you're the main character, right? But your parents are the producers.
Mm-hmm.
Like
and sometimes you don't even know that.
Like as a kid, you know, when the producer doesn't give a fuck about your plot line, you know, like, why am I in this movie then? You know? Like there's a part of it where it's just like I don't accept that I don't mean shit to my parents. You know? It's hard for me to accept that like why would my words mean anything to me as a kid? They should mean something to the producer, right? Like my experience should mean something to the producer. I don't know. This is like very...
Well, taking the analogy away, how many times did your parents say something along the lines of, your problems are trivial? Like you come home, you're upset about your friends having a phone or shoes or clothes or something like that. And your parents are like, are you kidding me? You're upset about this right now? Do you have any idea what I had to deal with at work today? Any idea what it takes to provide for you? Like, calm down. You get what you get. You don't throw a fit.
Yeah.
Something like that. Like, you're right. Your experience should matter to the producer, but the producer's wrapped up in their own stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you ain't shit to them.
Yeah.
your problems don't mean anything, especially with the like parent-child dynamic when the parents got a lot more life experience and like some real hardship has taken place in their life. Like, really, your biggest hardship right now is that you can't have the skirt your friend has or the shoes. Yeah, they're Velcro. My friends have laced shoes. Whatever. Like, do you have any idea what life is about, kid? And they don't realize it. No, you don't.
Yeah.
Because in that
That's
moment,
your job.
In that moment,
You
like,
hired me.
You know what I was
you
told
brought
all
me
the
onto
time?
this set. I'm looking to you for direction of what to do, where to go.
And then when you get that direction, it's, do you have any idea how hard life is? You're like, no, I'm trying to ask for that.
Yeah.
But what I was always told is school is your job. Your job is school. You don't have any other job besides school. And then I get home and magically have 2 more jobs to do.
Yeah.
So my job wasn't just school. And I always hated that phrase because I'm like, no, it really isn't. It's not just school. And even then, like, I felt disregarded by my teachers. Nobody really listened to me at home. They didn't listen to me at school. It was just a giant circle of no one's listening to me, so I might as well validate myself and do what I want within the parameters.
I think I'm still in that place of nobody's listening to me. At least like the younger versions of me. Like I still don't, like I don't necessarily make the time of day. Like I spend a lot of time like remembering what happened to the younger versions of me.
Why?
Because there's injustice.
But why do you fixate on it?
It's like it's a cold case, and I'm like a detective on behalf of them.
But why?
I don't fucking know.
Put a pin in that. I think you should, not now on this podcast, but I think you should unpack that. I think that would help you lead to eventually being able to forgive, is figure out your why. Like, why do you feel like you were done so unjustly? Why are you fixating on that specific period? There's got to be a reason. You may not be able to remember, and the why might look different now than it did back then, but I think you should identify your why. That would help
really
you.
just feel like it's because there were so many like injustices that happened to me in that time, and nobody gave a fuck. I gave a fuck, right? But I needed somebody else to give a fuck too.
Yeah, because you were all about external validation.
Yeah.
I wonder if I've never been a part of the Mormon religion, but is there a lot of external validation?
I mean, obviously, from God, you're looking for external validation. Like, you are living your life for God. You are living your life to be Christ-like.
Yeah. Okay. I think it was T that was telling me something about like doing something in a class, and you had this experience where in front of the class the teacher's like, thank you for doing this, and thank this person for this, and thank this person for this, and there was all sorts of thank yous being doled out for just doing stuff. And that was such a foreign concept to me. I'm like, what? People thank you for reading? You were told to read. Like popcorn reading or something like that. Like, oh, thanks for sharing. Thank you for reading, and things like that. And I think that built your external validation system. And I don't think you moved on from it.
Also, when I was younger, I would get validation from my mom secondhand when she was talking to other people.
Oh, yeah. Didn't that always feel great?
I mean, it would be better to hear like from her mouth to me.
Yeah, obviously. But when you overhear a conversation where your parent is talking you up, you're like, oh, hey, why don't you just say that to me from time to time? That'd be wonderful to hear.
I'm glad you're thinking that, but like, yeah. I don't know. I'm overwhelmed by this conversation, so I think we should come back.
We've covered a lot. I mean, we had this conversation 2 days ago, and then yesterday we're like, well, let's do a podcast today about it, and we didn't get to it yesterday. And you know, that's actually kind of what I like about these podcasts is we just talk out our stuff, and these are fresh thoughts, and they might not even be right.
Yeah.
Who knows? We get to listen back on them, and hopefully for those listeners out there, reply with some comments. We are open to different perspectives.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mainly you. It's
If
not my
anybody
podcast,
has
sorry.
some
You.
tips and tricks outside of my husband, who is a pro at these things.
I'm not a pro at anything.
If anybody has some something to help me move towards forgiveness and acceptance, or if you hear something that I'm missing, please point it out. Hopefully,
it's a conversation.
Maybe in a week or with a different person. Maybe I just need to keep investigating
maybe
this
that's
with
season
different
3,
people.
acceptance and forgiveness.
Yeah.
You did like careers and long-term relationships and stuff. Maybe acceptance and forgiveness is season 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
Yeah. I guess we will figure it out.
Yeah, we'll pick this back up. Give it some time. We'll call this part 1.
Yeah.
We'll do a part 2 after we've talked to a few people.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thank you for being here, Derry.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Till next time.
Until next time.
Mental Odyssey is a Dream and Do podcast, produced and edited by yours truly. The music is owned by Chill Hop, and this song is Velocities by Sleepy Fish. Go check them out. Thanks for being here.